May I remind you that trading is risky and not suitable for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. Please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. So this is kind of weird, right? Like, what am I doing recording a video at this time of day? Usually we just do videos at London Open. So what we're going to be doing going forward is we'll do the London Open session, which will review QuantBox for the day and look at the fundamental bias and look at upcoming news. But I felt that we need to do a follow-up at the New York session, because if we look at the price action or look at the moves that took place over the last 2 days, they took place at New York. And my concern is that if we're just looking at London, for example, looking at Aussie USD last week, you can see looking at London, there were no trading opportunities. But then suddenly, the close of the New York bias candle, there was an opportunity for us to get into a trade. And I'd like us to follow up with each other so that we can stay on top of things throughout the day. Obviously, the sessions I trade would be London and New York. So I wanted to include a video for New York so that you can stay up to date. Now, this won't be a fundamental video, so I won't be going through QuantBox because we will do that at the London session. This is merely a follow-up on anything we discuss in the London session. So taking a look at Aussie USD right now, as per this morning's video, what I'm looking for is an indication to be able to sell while price is up here at the weekly M3, currently above last week's profit-taking zone. Is there a potential trade? Take this down to the weekly central, or alternatively all the way down to the weekly M1. And so looking at the bias candle for New York, which is this candle over here, the 8 o'clock candle, as you can see, currently price not closing at a roll reversal or at the top of the range, price sort of coming up. And you can see price sitting in a range over here, just below that weekly M3 and above the monthly M4. Taking a look at the H1 chart, you can see we haven't had a lot of movement in the session so far. Okay, and currently price still looking like it's consolidating. Taking a look at the M15 time frame, you can see the same situation taking place, right? So my view still stands in terms of where we are from a positional perspective, looking for opportunities to take this down lower, but I need that lower low, I need that lower high. Now, of course, the fact that today's session is much unchanged from this morning's London session is fine, but there will be days where suddenly the New York session plays a very important role in any particular trade we can take for that day. Of course, right now, we're not seeing that, but I wanted to include this video every single day as some more content for you to pay attention to, because it might just help you out. And also it means I'm staying on top of things as well. So from an Aussie dollar USD perspective, nothing much has changed. We've got New York Open coming up in about 2 hours. But what I'm doing is, the reason why I'm recording this video now is because of the close of this 4-hour candle, that being the New York bias candle. So these sessions will be focused on that particular candle. Does that particular candle indicate any opportunity for us to take a trade? We can then discuss how you then fold that into your New York session in the way of the bias candle on H1, which is the last candle to close before New York opens. And that is in quite a bit of time, because right now, my time, it's 1:15, and New York only opens at 3 o'clock. But nonetheless, I'm doing this because of the fact that we have now got the bias candle closing on the 4-hour time frame. So you can see there, this bias candle not closing at any kind of resistance. We haven't made that lower low, haven't made that lower high. So still sitting here waiting for that to take place. Taking a look at euro dollar on the 4-hour, similar situation, right? We've got this monthly R2 over here. That's quite a significant pivot point. But again, looking at price action, you can see we don't have price breaking down below a certain level of support and then coming up and closing at resistance. We've just got price bouncing around up here. Taking a look at the H1 time frame, you can see that perhaps what's currently forming is the lower low to then come back up and form a lower high. But currently, no indication that tells us we'd like to get into a trade. Looking at M15, you can see the same thing over there. Notice on M15 that we don't have that double top coming up to over here. Okay, pay attention to that. It's important to note those things. In terms of the price action on M15, you might be looking at that and saying, hold on a second, what about that over there? You've got to think of this from a perspective of price has been very bullish going up. Price then breaks that 55, doesn't come up for a double top. So that tells me that price isn't behaving the way I'd expect it to behave. But more importantly, on H4, I don't have price closing at any kind of resistance up here at the moment. What does that tell me? If I don't have a clear indication of long-term bearishness, in other words, a lower low, lower high happening up here, then potentially price could be coming down to support to continue in the original bullish trajectory. We'll have to see what happens because, again, we are significantly high and we definitely are in areas where we'd expect to see bulls take profit. All right, cool. So nothing yet on the euro dollar. Then in terms of the pound dollar, you can see very much the same thing, okay? This 4-hour candle not showing us any indication of price closing at resistance. And you can see there on H1, still very much sideways and consolidating. So nothing to do there. Also taking that one step further onto the M15 time frame, you can see there completely sideways at the present moment, okay? Now, you can short circuit the H1 and M15 by just looking at H4 and saying, do I see an opportunity to take a trade? Again, using the bias candle for New York, which is the 8 o'clock candle, this candle is not closed at resistance, indicating that at this present moment in time, there's no reason to be doing anything with this pair. Certainly not buying up here because of how high we are out of position. If you are looking for a buy, of course, your weekly central, your 21 EMA, are good supports, but be aware of the fact that you're currently buying very, very close to a monthly target. Is that really what you want to be doing? Moving further down to Kiwi dollar, looking at the 4-hour time frame, you can see a very similar story. Price consolidating on the H1 time frame. There's some sideways moves over there. Pay attention to the fact that price has not created that double top. Okay, so price could just be coming down to find support to go higher up again. We'll keep an eye on these things. What's also important to note is that if you do see price coming down to support, so it can higher up, you're going to find that H4 will close at some level of support. And that should be your indication of, I need to go into lower time frames and verify that trade. Of course, the question is, from a daily perspective, are you currently at support? Where do you identify support? All the way down here, all the way down here, and of course, at this 21.55 that's about to cross. But your big canary in the gold mine should be price is currently at a place where bulls tend to take profit. So if price comes down from here, do you really want to buy back into a place after bulls have potentially gotten out? Which is why I'm looking at charts right now saying, can I get some indication of bearishness as we sit so high above last week's profit-taking zone and at this week's weekly M3? Currently, nothing stands out. Moving further down, it's USD CAD. Looking for buying opportunities here. We can see also a profit-taking zone. Look at this H4 time frame. Notice how we don't have price closing at support on the 4-hour time frame. Looking at the H1 time frame, you can see there we don't have that higher high and higher low. Also on the M15 time frame, notice how we don't have that double bottom. Okay, price hasn't come down to test this double bottom over here. Price is broken above the 55, came up, did not make a double bottom, and price is now bounced around. Be very, very careful of that. Look for specific things that you want to see in the market. And if you don't see those specific things, then pay attention to the fact that maybe something else is afoot. Again, looking at this, not a difficult situation to trade, because if you just lock that inside a range, you know exactly where you're looking for that higher low. And you wouldn't be looking for lower lows and lower highs here because of how significantly out of position you currently are. In terms of the yen pairs, nothing really to look at these because we can see on the daily time frame, we're still very much sideways, still very much consolidating. We went through all those this morning, but we do continue paying attention to the yen pairs because of the fact that we're looking for any indication of bearish trend. Why? Because we're so far out of position for any buying. Currently, nothing stands out. You can see that that's a consistent, can I say trend, but that's not really a trend in terms of it's a consistent pattern across all the yen pairs. You can see there, look at how the euro yen is not giving any indication of long-term bearishness yet. Same with pound yen as well. You can see they're also still very much consolidating. And that theme continues across the Kiwi yen and of course the Swiss franc pairs as well. So as per this morning's briefing, the currency pairs I'm paying attention to right now are the dollar pairs because of where they're sitting so far as position is concerned. If you're looking for a CAD Swissy buy, then again, you're looking for that higher low. Look at your 8 o'clock candle. Look how price has not closed that support. Yes, you got pivot point support over there. It's a monthly M1 for sure. But in terms of price action, do you see a higher low? Not yet. Okay. Euro Swissy, you can see there's no pattern there. You got this lower low, you got this higher high, you got this, is this a higher low? Is this a lower low? Relative to this to lower low, relative to this to higher low, you can see there no pattern. Currently consolidating. In terms of pound Swissy, you can see they're completely sideways. So the opportunities right now very much are the dollar pairs, and you know what you're waiting for. And if you don't get that opportunity, then just realize that something else is going on here. Perhaps prices coming down to lower support to continue on in the original direction. In the meantime, be very specific on what you're looking for from a 4-hour perspective. Good luck with the New York session. Stay patient, stay disciplined, stay liquid. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at London. All the best.